concluding statements.
All right. This was a
Yeah,
fascinating discussion. It was so much more informative than what I thought. It
yeah.
changed my view of ancient Egypt, really.
Finally, repeating what happened before, we see the end part of the debate. And what they talk about this time is more towards Egypt. Now, of course, they still would do the same tricks that they did last time, but hopefully minds were changed. Now, remember this debate when I first saw it, I remember thinking this person knows more information about Egypt than I do, but over the years, I've collected way more information than he had known at the time. And given that he had been studying it for 10 years, it's pretty impressive. It, I mean, he could just rattle off some names, by the way.
Here, Beach for $10 says, Radio, given that the ancient world practiced marriages allies as a form of diplomacy, would that not mean that royal and noble families would have plenty of non-Egyptian blood in their royals?
So this is a pretty sincere question, but the problem is it starts off at a very weird place. So the only generations that you start hearing about mixing blood is when Egypt holds truces with different countries. So the Nubians in the beginning holds a truce with the ancient Egyptians. So they mix their blood with the ancient Egyptians. But then only much later do Asian uh kingdoms start to hold truces. So the Mitanni is a good example. But for the Mitanni, you don't see them moving people back and forth. And also, it's not necessarily nobles or royals that are being moved back and forth. Now, remember, there's a Mitanni letter that we can find, if you'd like, where the ancient Egyptians talk about how the ancient Egyptians sent two women from Egypt to the Mitanni, the land of the Mitanni, which is in the Middle East. And these Mitanni said, the women you have sent us are not very attractive, and then they started complaining about the gold and everything like that. And things were starting to break down between the relationship. Now, the difference here is that it only went one way. Now, some people speculate that Akhenaten and some of these other people might have married Mitanni women and stuff like that. And it's possible, maybe not married, but yeah, married because there was polygamy back then. But they wouldn't have been like a primary member of the royal family. They would have been somewhere down in the bottom.
Well, there's no evidence for that.
No evidence.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no evidence of any Egyptian royal members saying that that they descend from a Hittite king or from a king of Mitanni. Okay, that's all theory. Okay, there's no evidence for that.
None at all.
So
No evidence, eh?
Have you ever looked into it?
yes, I did.
You did? Okay, just making sure.
Which site did you use?
So the reason they're laughing is because people in the past used to think the internet was just like a place to play. They didn't realize that like there's a lot of resources. By the way, I guarantee that they got all their resources from the internet. But actually, here is a good version of the Mitanni letters where the king speaks to the king of Egypt and he mentions how that he feels like he's being cheated. Speak to Kadisman, Endil, king of the land of Kadifan, my brother, thus. Okay, let's skip that. Now I have heard the message you sent to me concerning it, saying you seek my daughter for your wife, and my sister, whom my father gave to you, is there with you, but no one has seen her now, whether she is alive, whether she is dead. This is what you sent me in your tablet. These are your words. When have you sent your dignitary who knows your sister, who can converse with her and identify her, and let him converse with her? The men who you send me are non entities. One was Zachara, the other was an ass herd of the land, there was not one among them who knows her, who was close to her, your father, and can identify her. So this whole part, you can read it yourself, is about the kings complaining because they agreed to exchange females. If we go down all the way to the bottom, we can see there it says, why don't you send your dignitary who will tell you the truth, the welfare of your sister who is here? Then you can trust the one who enters into see her house and relationship with the king. And when you write saying perhaps it was the daughter of some lowly person, either one of the Kaskians or a daughter of the land of Kanagalbat, or perhaps of the land of Ugarit, which my envoy saw, who can trust those that she is like her? So yes, they traded people, but it's not just anybody. For the most part, they traded royal family members. So Egyptian family members of the royal family would end up in the whole household of the Mitanni and the Canaanites and all of these, so that they can have good strength between each other. And because of this, they would call each other brother and stuff like that.
Oh no, not a site, but books. Okay,
Ah,
I don't do my.
yeah, it's like me, man. No, I hear you.
All right, and yeah, I think it would be a good time to head for
Yeah.
concluding statements.
Yeah, and before we do that, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. We're very happy to be back on the main channel.
Before they make concluding statements, there's something I want to say about this whole book versus internet thing. Listen, information is information. Saying that you've got a hard copy book or a soft copy book or whatever means nothing. Information, if it's written down, it's information. I don't know what's this thing that some people have where they like think there's some kind of magic in paper. Like they think there's some kind of like the information becomes better if it's on a hard copy book. Like I've literally shown you someone read the Mukaddima or the Mukaddima in the Arabic script and you compare it to the one on the internet, it's the exact same thing. It's just a waste of time to get it on in hard copy. We're not living in that era anymore. It's like saying that, you know, getting it on a scroll is more important than getting it on in a book. I never understood that whole thing with people, especially since there's so much more resources on the internet that you can get for free that will tell you all kinds of information sent out by universities. Like you don't have to get it on some, you know, piece of garbage website. You can get it from universities. You can actually request it from faculty members and stuff. You can even request it from students. There's online libraries, online museums, galleries, all kinds of stuff that you can find. I don't understand this whole like you gotta go get a book. In fact, I think if you just get it from a book, you're probably not very clever.
If you don't agree with them, they have lots of viewpoints. And I have to say, for radio and Weibo, awesome discussion tonight.
Thank you.
I got a kick out of it. It was interesting. Some parts were funny, and it was heated at times. It was great for Internet Blood Sports. Everyone in the chat enjoyed it, and I hope to have both of you on in the future. And we'll stay in touch with radio and you, Weibo, good times, and for anything that we want to discuss in the future. So, with that being said, let's start off with you, Weibo.
Okay, so few claims have been made here. One that I'm a white supremacist, one that I'm racist, based on the simple fact that actually he hasn't given any. But my video, and I stand by this, that we don't know anything about Nefertiti with regards to her origin. So it is entirely possible that she could have been a little bit lighter skinned. I'm not saying white. I'm not saying Asiatic. I am saying lighter in skin tone.
Now, if you don't know how debates work, this would be considered a victory for Radio 1 because he got her to back away from her original claim, claiming that the Egyptians were lighter skinned because of some mixed race thing. And you can see her saying basically, basically moving away from the idea that they have to be Asiatic, saying that she might have been a lighter skin, which, you know, if you know anything about debating, I mean, if you've ever had an argument with anyone before, they don't just go, you know what, you're right, right? They're always going to have to slow walk their way into an argument to the point where you have to leave them alone for a couple of days and then watch them basically think that they made up the idea that you put into their head. It's the only way to do it. Human ego will not allow them to just say, you're right.
Second point, Egypt is diverse. Whether or not you want to discount that diversity based on invasion periods that may have taken place thousands of years ago, be my guest. But the simple fact remains that they are diverse.
Again, I would still consider this a victory because they didn't start with Egypt was diverse. They started with most people in Egypt were probably Asiatic, and then some of them were black, namely the Nubians. And then now they're going with, oh, Egypt was diverse, which again is a very different thing to say, both together. And of course, even if they were diverse, for the most part, they'd probably look like black people. I mean, take any place in America where black people have mixed with white people and see what happens. But, you know, and that's white people. That's not even Middle Eastern people. If you take Middle Eastern people, you start getting what you see in Yemen and stuff. Now, she used a very important word here, which is versus was. Saying it is diverse right now is very different than saying it was diverse in the past.
Last thing, I would still like you to actually prove how exactly I am a racist, Radio One, but we can do that at a later time. That's fine, and that's my closing statement.
You will notice how a lot of people like to get offended when you call them racist. They like to behave racist, but then once you call them racist, it's like the worst thing you can call them. And then they'll like focus in on that and try to prove you wrong, knowing good goddamn well that they pal around with racists. And, you know, they like to do this gaslighting and all of this stuff. He gave plenty of examples and she doesn't want to hear them because, of course, who wants to hear that they're racist?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I
man.
just want to make sure.
Bo, did you have fun
Okay.
on the show? Did you have a good
Yeah.
time?
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. My point is, okay, regardless of what your theory is about ancient Egypt, okay, I mean, because you can say that they were Caucasian, Middle Eastern, or whatever, all you want, okay, because we all know it's BS, and we know it's a lie and it's based on theories, but okay, but whatever you say, I mean, whatever your opinion is, okay, just make sure if you make a documentary depicting them or making a movie depicting them, depict them. I mean, show them the way that they depicted themselves.
Now, this is a good point because for all of the lip service that these people give for like, oh, they were mixed, they showed themselves as dark skin, but in real life they weren't negroid, but they were dark skin. No matter what they say about that, they will never depict them as dark skin. I mean, they depict them as damn near white. In fact, if it's from Egypt or from the West, almost 99% of the time, they will depict the people as pure white, not even like Egyptian brown. Like they'll do this thing of like, oh, if you go to Egypt, you can see brown people all the time. Some of them even look as brown as black people. It's like, okay, but you guys never put them on TV though. By the way, look at all this cosplay here. It doesn't even look right. I mean, firstly, I think some of the costumes are probably over and under exaggerated. The guy in the front looks ridiculous, but the dudes in the middle as well, they also just changed their color, and you'll realize why the thing looks ridiculous. I also love how they look like they belong to some kind of cult or whatever, but you know, they're not even making any attempt to look anywhere near like the ancient Egyptians. I mean, the girl's hair is supposed to be braided. They're like, no, it's smooth, straight hair. It's like, nope. The thing on the guy's head is ridiculous. The whole thing is just ridiculous. to the point that sometimes I wonder if they've ever even seen some of the images that are provided. I mean, look how dark skinned this man is and this woman is. But again, like I said, there's a lot of colorism. I mean, it's just a lot of colorism on Earth in general, but there's a lot of colorism on Earth. And so they will never depict them dressed like this. And also, there's also the problem that there's a lot of Islamic tendencies in Egypt. So if a documentary comes from Egypt, they won't do the see-through dresses that they used to wear where you can see their the body form of a woman. That's why they kind of look ridiculous, because they're too overdressed. Clearly in Egypt, the clothing was kind of see-through.
I mean, even if you're going to use actors and put red, mahogany color paint on them or whatever,
Mahogany face.
just show them, just depict them the way that they looked, okay? Because some of y'all want to say, yes, I'm aware that that the truth about ancient Egypt, and they look like this and look like that. But when you go produce a documentary or produce a movie, you put white people, okay? You put people that look the damn near the opposite of ancient Egyptians, okay? And so I'm saying, whatever your theory is, just tell the truth about them. Show them the exact way they looked it, okay? Mm-hmm. I mean, we all people have their theories. Everybody have their theory, okay? But when it gets down to the nitty gritty, and you wanna put.
Now you're probably wondering, why do people who care about Egypt, like myself or any of these other guys, care so much about movies and documentaries and those portrayals? You're like, who cares? It's just a movie or a documentary. If we know the truth, then it's fine. No, it's not. It's not fine, because if we made documentaries or movies where we portrayed the Greeks as black people, there's some people who believe that. I'm not even going against that. All I'm saying is, if we made them black people, the majority of the world would freak out and be like, you're trying to steal the history, you're trying to trick it. But then when it comes to Egypt, they go, it doesn't matter as long as they're from Egypt. It's like, no, there's people from Egypt who look like white people. You can't use people in Egypt right now who look like white people to try and portray the real Egyptians. And even the ones who are like, I kind of look like my ancestors because I'm sort of dark, they will never make it on TV. They will never get on TV and be portrayed as an ancient Egyptian. And if you know a documentary where they do that and it's from Egypt, I'd love you to show me. By the way, the one that you see that has Nefertiti as a black person, that was made by black people.
Portray the ancient Egyptians, okay? You don't show the truth, okay? You show people what you want to believe, okay? You show people, you show people your bias, okay? So I'm saying, regardless of whatever whatever opinion that you have about the ancient Egyptians, okay? And I know a lot of people are not educated on the history of Egypt, because it is a long history and you have to do a lot of reading and a lot of studying to know it, okay? But even without all that, okay, I mean, just to know how they look, all you have to do is go on a Google site and put up an ancient Egyptian tomb, and you will see exactly how they look. Okay.
Yeah, but that would take all of like 10 seconds, and nobody has 10 seconds to spare to go look up what ancient Egyptians actually look like. Instead, they want to debate it for like 5 hours and never look at the evidence. I remember there was a time, and this is actually real, like if you go back a long time ago, there was a time where there was no internet, and so you couldn't just look things up, and it made sense back then to debate for 5 or 6 hours over something. Most debates today can be solved by a simple Google search, but people just don't want to do it. Instead, they want to be like, website, you got that from our website, or they want to blame Wikipedia, which is 90% of the stuff on Wikipedia is actually very useful. I'm not saying it's accurate, but it's actually very useful. But they want to go and downplay all of these resources because, of course, they want to be like, I'm on the ground, I'm studying on the ground. It's like there's people who are on the ground who believe that the ancient pyramids were built by aliens. Being on the ground means nothing.
Okay, it shouldn't be no argument about that. If you're gonna depict them the way that they depicted themselves, okay, and not different, and not something that's that's based on your own biasness and your own prejudice.
All right, those were the
There are still, by the way, debates and people that I need to talk about who used to talk about how Nubians were Asiatic. We're still going to get into that. There's a lot of people, by the way, look at the images of the Nubians and I mean, start laughing now. But there are some people who used to debate that Nubians were Asian and that they are the real Nubians and, you know, the real Kushites. There's a video called "Would the Real Kushites Please Stand Up" that I saw once before, where the person was claiming that the Kushites were part Asian or Asian, and man, they used to go hard, people.
concluding statements.
This was
yeah.
a fascinating discussion. It was so much more informative than what I thought. It
Yeah.
changed my view of ancient Egypt, really.
This is how you know Radio 1 did a good job. It changed his view on ancient Egypt. What do you think his view was on ancient Egypt before he got into this discussion? I'm almost certain that he came in thinking they're all white, their enemies were white, civilization is white, all of that, because that's kind of where his whole perspective comes from. To have someone of his, let's say, build or whatever mindset change his point of view because of this discussion, which was already not even the best thing. I mean, Radio 1 could certainly do a better job than this. To change his view on this tells you how well he did in this discussion. And not only that, but how impactful some of the evidence is on people's minds once they see it.
Yeah, yo, honestly, that was a lot of fun. People in the chat were loving both of you, Weibo and Radio. You have made everyone think about a lot of things, and maybe in the future we could iron out some more things and talk about other things. But yeah, thank you for being on the show, both of you.
Radio 1 carried this conversation while everybody else was playing jokes and not knowing what they're talking about. But it's not done yet. There's about 5 minutes left where JF says some interesting things. Now, remember, don't get offended by what he's about to say. He has a bias, so he has to stick to the script a little bit, even though his entire mind has been blown.
Sure. Thank you for having us.
All right, we'll see you soon. Everyone, go subscribe to their channels. Links are down there below. Okay, thanks, guys.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Take care.
See you later.
I never expected that.
I was.
Guys knew their stuff.
By the way, isn't it telling the type of discussion that they thought they were going to have by saying that these guys knew their stuff? They never expected that to happen. In other words, they expected an ignorant debate with just two idiots just coming on and basically claiming one or the other. I mean, let's be honest, they really expected the quote unquote Afrocentric point of view, and then they're just going to laugh it off. But then as soon as the information came in and it started seeming like a real debate, then they were like, uh-oh, maybe we bit a bit more than we can swallow.
Yeah, both of them were fired. You know, like they were both doing really well there. I was enjoying it. There's a lot of moments where I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
Like I just hold in a laugh. And then sometimes I was actually surprised where I was like, damn, okay, this is getting good.
I mean, Radio 1 did convince me, not that the pharaohs were black, really black, but they were probably somewhat like a white Canadian who went to the bronzage salon for too long and got his skin too exposed to light.
You see, though, slow walking his way to the argument, you know what's basically happening right now. So he started with the idea that ancient Egyptians were pale white, and then now he's like, uh-oh, well, since I can see evidence that they're dark skinned, then that means that it's like a white person who's really, really dark skinned, right? So it's like a really dark skinned white person. But again, I want to remind you that they don't show that in any of the documentaries. They'll accept it in the argument because they see it and they go, okay, well, makes sense. But then when they'll go and make their movies, they won't. And that guy said it, Radio 1 even said it. If you want to go with that argument, if you want to say that the ancient Egyptians were really dark-skinned white people. I mean, at some point we just gotta go, okay, whatever. But if you want to go with that, then show that in your documentaries, and so that we can all see how funny it's gonna look like. But the reason they don't do that is because they know it's gonna look ridiculous. They know that if they take white people and they tan them to the point of the ancient Egyptians, they're gonna look so ridiculous that they just go with the white people and go, that's just because no one's gonna believe that ancient Egyptians were these super tanned white people. Now, I would love this video to be as long as the other ones because I think that's a better idea than making short form videos, but I can't because the debate is over. For any of you who see a debate or argument about Egypt or Africa in general, including modern day Africa or even African Americans, feel free to suggest some of them to me, because we do need to dismantle some of these myths, because sometimes people, they just sit on things they've seen. I know there's no way everybody in my channel has not run into some type of information about the ancient Egyptians. And now feel free to send me any of those links on Instagram. By the way, I'm changing my Instagram because I don't like the previous one. So you'll have to press on the link on my YouTube in order to see it. Thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe. I will be reacting to comments of these videos soon.